I'm gonna show you how to do the protagonist, Joker. Does Joker even have a name? The playthrough right now, I named him Randa Kumra. You notice like when he's doing the awakening, he has like blue flames around him. And he has a black cat, so Kuro. Hey, Kuro. Anyway, today I'm gonna show you how to do Joker, aka the protagonist from Persona 5. Oh, and I just recently found out that there's a new Persona 5 coming out in English next year. Yeah, next year they're coming out with it, called the Royale. Again, a year, guys? You're gonna tell me a year before you release it? And I guess there's new characters, and I don't know if the story's changing. This is just got announced, but just so you guys can suffer with me. So no more horsing around, let's get right into the video and let's get started.
To be honest with you, I'd rather not know about the game than have it follow me for the rest of the year. Enough of my whining about Persona 5. I'm starting off by covering most of my face in foundation and powdering it off, trying to avoid the eye area because it may affect how your white paint will look. I'm now drawing the shape of Joker's mask around my face with white paint and then filling it in. If you're cosplaying as Joker, I highly recommend painting on your mask rather than wearing the actual mask. I think it looks a lot better. I think I'm gonna start cosplaying as Joker, but no matter what, I'm probably still gonna paint the mask on my face. Next, fill in the inner part of your eye with black paint. A small tip I think that makes a big difference is the angle of the outer part of the black should match the outer part of the white, if that makes sense. Use translucent powder or black eyeshadow to set the black paint around your eyes. I'm not lining my eyes last like I usually do. If you want the mask to look more three-dimensional, I use gray shadow to draw these lines around the black and then shade them in. I also shaded the very top of my mask. With that same gray eyeshadow, draw a line split down the middle of that mask and shade one side of that line you drew. I also drew a line in the inner corners of my eyes to my nose and shaded the bottom half of that line. Now look at how small of a brush I am using. You can barely tell where the tip is. Now shade your face very, very lightly with black shadow. If you want a more realistic look, use very minimal amount. Now I used the angle brush to feather out that black shadow. Now see how big of a difference and how dark it looks just by adding a little bit of a black eyeshadow. I wouldn't call this step highlighting. I think it was more like whitening the places the shadows kind of dulled out. This step is to kind of define where the mask would pop out from your face. To me, this is probably the hardest part of the whole makeup, was to add these little stars around the mask. You can't rush this. You have to make it the same length and the same angle as the other side, which is pretty difficult, but it can be done. What helped me was to go back and forth between each side and then build up the length just a little bit because it's hard to take back, but you can always build up. Now is the time for the highlights. I used the NYX white liquid liner and just highlighted places that I thought needed some brightening up. I didn't really notice a lot of highlights in the actual game, but I think it needed it in the makeup. By the way, guys, I have all the products that I used in the description below. Oh my god, guys, you will be so satisfied after this step. After small outlines around the whole mask, you will feel the Joker. You will become Joker. The very last step for creating the mask is the shade underneath of it. I used a light brown shadow, but if you have darker skin, you'll have to go a little darker. We are actually gonna do some normal makeup for once and contour our face. Most of the contouring is concentrated in the outer edge of your face to make it look more narrow. And then I use an even darker one to darken it even further. Woohoo! We're done with the face. On to the rest of the body paint. Also, I'm curious, you guys, would you rather me paint my costume on? Or would you rather me cosplay and then have makeup to go with the cosplay? Please, please, please put your answer in the comments below. I kind of made a mistake at this part. I used a dark gray for the shirt jacket and then black for the actual jacket, but you should go a lot lighter. The shirt jacket should have been a light gray and the actual jacket should have been the color of the shirt jacket, so it's a lot easier to shade that way. I figured it out eventually and fixed it. I drew a black line down the middle to help me figure out where to start those little squiggly details in the middle of the jacket, whatever those are called. I drew the squigglies on with white paint, which turned into a light gray. Thanks to how dark I made the shirt jacket, I had to go in with straight black shadow to shade under the squiggly lines. But you probably won't have to do that because I just told you the secret and you'll be smarter and wiser than I was. Now shade that line down the center, aka the zipper line. So apparently Joker has a 3/4 zip shirt. So I drew a highlight to define the 3/4 zip. But there is still a black line all the way down the shirt, or at least I think there is. Now I'm doubting myself. Thanks a lot. I'm now adding the first highlight on the very top of the shirt. Because I made the shirt so dark, I have to add mostly highlights than shading. Any shading I did do, I had to go in with black eyeshadow, and more specifically, the NYX Primal Colors black eyeshadow, which is pretty pigmented. So at first I just started highlighting certain places, but I ended up just making the whole shirt a light gray, like I should have done from the beginning. You can now shade the shirt in all the folds and wrinkles that a shirt would make. And I went back and forth between black paint and black eyeshadow to shade the entire shirt. And remember to make a dark shadow on the outer parts of the shirt because the jacket is laying on top of the shirt. How many times have I said shirt during this episode? With straight up white paint, I started highlighting places that weren't shaded. And thinking if this was a real shirt, and I was thinking what places would catch more light, I added more highlights in those places. With a fine brush, I added even brighter highlights in certain places. Next, draw these black lines to connect all the gold buttons. Add a highlight next to the black line so it's more visible. I painted on Joker's gold buttons with Mehron's gold body paint. I drew a border around the buttons with white paint and then made an outline with black paint. Then I just touched all the buttons with a little bit of white paint for another highlight. Because the jacket is so dark, I mostly did highlights than shading. Any shading I didn't do any body paint because it just kind of blended in with the rest of the jacket, so I had to use black eyeshadow. Next, draw on the front pocket of the jacket, which holds Joker's white handkerchief. For the ladies, he is a gentleman thief after all. I just went back and forth between highlighting and shading so it looks more balanced between both sides. To keep myself entertained, I was watching Cub Scouts, in case you're wondering why I'm giggling out of nowhere. I'm sorry, but Jay is freaking hilarious. Just keep shading, just keep shading, just keep shading, shading, shading. Just like the mask, add the brightest highlights all over the jacket with the NYX liquid eyeliner and shirt jacket. Last step is to fix up anything you might have missed and just touch it up. Oh yeah, and draw on the Gentleman Thief handkerchief and shade it just a little bit because it's behind the flaps of the jacket. I know, I had such a hard time making my hair messy for once in my life. I don't know, this wig was just too nice. And now you guys, you are ready to pose like Junko in your photos. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit that like button if you enjoyed it, and smack that subscribe button and join the horsepower. And I will see you in the next video. Goodbye!